We'll all be on. Anthony, we're live. Oh, my goodness.
Secret location. Don't tell
All right,
nobody.
don't tell anyone.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality. Oh my goodness, Anthony Valkyrie. We are in the heart of New York City, Times Square, a dream come true for me, dude.
You know what? I said New York and the country's not coming back until you start seeing Times Square moving.
Right?
And you're starting to see Times Square move. So it's amazing to be here.
Yeah, this is absolutely amazing to be here. And with us, Mr. Tom Harris, acting president of the Times Square Alliance. That's him right over there. Tom, so great to see you, man.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for having us. I got to tell you, Anthony, when I used to come here, as a teenager, early 20s, do the New Year's Eve Times Square thing, I was like, how cool would it be to broadcast from Times Square? And now we are actually getting to do that.
Not only we're broadcasting from Times Square, what people don't understand, we're in Times Square and we're broadcasting and we're allowed to do it. If you ever worked in New York, you know to cross the street, you need 3 permits.
Right?
So that we can sit in Times Square because of our friend. We know Tom,
right.
So Tom's the guy.
No, thank you, Tom, for arranging this for us. Because just before we went on air, Anthony's like, hey, did you get the right permits? Did you get the right permits? I'm like, I hope so.
You got the right permits, though?
We have the right permits.
Right.
All right, so Tom, you've been with the Times Square Alliance for quite some time. This is pretty cool. Gorgeous spring day. I feel like, Anthony, Tom, the weather today, everything is very symbolic of spring rebirth, those green shoots we're talking about, and I see people everywhere. How exciting is this?
It is exciting, and this is the reawakening of Times Square after this year-long fog. It seems like we've been in a fog for a year, and we're seeing a lot of signs of optimism. Times Square is coming back. New York City's coming back, and it's going to be great.
I feel the subway under my feet.
I like what you said as far as it was a fog. But before we go any further, because there's a couple stories I want to tell about Times Square and the importance of Times Square to me. But let's talk about what the Alliance is, what the Times Square Alliance is, because a lot of people don't know what it is. It started in 1992. I remember when it started because I was working right there 100 feet away.
We'll get to that.
When I started seeing all these guys in these different uniforms that saying Times Square Alliance. So what is the Times Square Alliance?
The Times Square Alliance is the business improvement district for the Times Square area. We cover from 40th to 53rd Street, from 6th to 8th Avenue, plus Restaurant Row. And our mission is to improve and promote Times Square and make it desirable for all.
And so what are the things you do? I know there's people on the streets cleaning and there's business owners coming together. So talk me through what the whole function of the Times Square Alliance is.
So we have street teams, public safety team, approximately 40 public safety officers that work hand in glove with the New York City Police Department to make sure that Times Square is safe. We work with all of the building security to coordinate efforts. We also have about an 80-person sanitation team that cleans Times Square every day.
So the 40 people, they're security.
Yes.
And they're just walking around making sure everything's cool.
Yes, they're New York's friendliest, we call them. They're here to help you if people are lost, people need to find something in Times Square or in the city. They ask them and they'll give them directions.
Well, I love that.
Them.
Now, are you looking, because as I was talking to you and I was asking whether your employees make, you were telling me before we talk about it, are you looking for anyone?
We are always looking for public safety and sanitation. We keep a list, so if you want to apply, we'd be happy to take your resume.
Glenn's got me pretty wrapped up. I have a 3-year contract, 0 pay, 0 benefits. It's the best job I've ever had.
It's true. It's true. I worked hard for him to pay me to allow him to do this, but
you were saying full medical, $17 an hour to start with. I mean, it sounds like a great gig.
I think it is. It's good for them. They seem to like it. We have a high degree of retention. People, once they come, if they like it, they stay. This is the greatest place in the world. You basically have front row seats to the greatest show in Times Square.
And you know what's great? As you're talking, one of the not great things, I don't smoke pot, but marijuana is now legal.
I know. I'm just saying,
as I smell it.
Thank you, Governor Cuomo.
No, but the reason I say that is, as I'm sitting here talking to you, I smell marijuana.
I know.
So it's like,
I've been smelling it.
It's legal.
Well, to be fair about New York City streets, typically whenever you go outdoors, you will smell somebody smoking on the streets. It's been like that for years. but with the wind going as fast as it's going, it's really whooped up over there. But Tom, we don't need you to comment on that. Although it'll be nice to see Weed World actually stop having to fake people and sell real stuff one day over there. But this is so great. You say people, I'm feeling like people are coming back. The energy is really up. How does it feel now that the engines of New York City are kicking in again and people are returning? And I'm really surprised to see how many people are walking through Times Square today.
So we track pedestrians all the time. We have counters, we have cameras on the buildings, and we can actually get a gated count. Mm-hmm. And over the weekend, we had about 155,000 people each day walk through Times Square. So that's not pre-pandemic numbers, but it's a pretty good number.
What was pre-pandemic numbers? I'm going to guess 500,000?
365.
Wow.
365,000 people a day, 365 days a year.
Yeah, right. Pretty much. I would recommend, hey, if you're in the tri-state area, come on down now because there's actually a little room to move around, which is something very unusual. As a hardcore New York guy, I used to avoid Times Square because it was just so flooded with people. But now it's time to come and have that quintessential New York City experience.
Yeah, we have a lot of stores open. We have mom and pop stores are open that have stayed open through the pandemic. Some of them just recently opened. We have a lot of restaurants. We have a lot of great hotels in the area that are open, and you can get a great room at a competitive price now. So yes, people should come to Times Square, do a staycation. People in the tri-state area, the restrictions are lifted, so this is the time to come to Times Square.
Yeah, we're all 3 vaccinated people, so we're sitting here. We're 6 feet apart, but we're all vaccinated. But you know what's interesting? It is a Monday morning, or lunchtime. And typically you'll see a lot of business people walking through. Business still isn't quite back yet. The Naked Cowboy's here, bro.
Oh yeah, that looks like the original Naked Cowboy.
That's the original Naked Cowboy.
Not one of his franchisees.
Do you see him? Can you see him through the camera?
No.
All right, Times Square is back. Naked Cowboy's back. Things are good.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is that usually you see a lot of corporate people going for lunch, but now you just see a lot of construction people. You see a lot of leisure, but you see it busy. Look, Naked Cowboy's naked and making money.
Yeah. Now that's how you know it's New York City. Colleen is wondering if it's hard to see the computer screens with all the glare. No, we're doing all right. It's a little bit difficult, but these shots are so freaking beautiful that I wanted to set up the cameras a little bit differently today. So I'm the only guy looking at a monitor.
But how's the sound and I'm getting him on my Instagram. How's the sound and how's the
I would say everybody's saying great. Someone says great connection, Glenn. Perfect location, all of that stuff. Nobody's complaining about wind, so I guess we're in a lot of luck. Although once Anthony starts talking, I can't say there won't be a lot of hot air, but there won't be a whole lot of wind. So Tom, tell us a little bit about what's going on. You've been here since, you said, 1992?
No, the Alliance has been existing.
Oh, and and you started in 2006?
2008.
2008, sorry. Right, okay. So a lot has changed over the last 12 years. I felt like in the late 1990s when, Disney made the big play to help reinvent and kick things off, it really transformed everything. But even since you started in 2008, everything has really been elevated. The amount of screens, the amount of investment, it's really taken off over the last 10 years. How has it changed while you've been in office?
So Times Square reinvents itself.
Yep.
We're always looking for something new. When I came here, the red steps, the iconic red steps, were not here in Times Square. They were under construction.
Right.
So, and I think, and Broadway had cars on it.
Can I get the Naked Cowboy on?
Yeah, go ahead.
Put this on?
I'll turn it on.
Okay.
Did you turn on your side?
I did.
All right.
You going to be able to get it?
All right. Are you sure it's on?
No, turn it on.
Let me interrupt.
No, I want you to interrupt. I just said Times Square is back because you're here.
Tom, did you tell us I never left one?
All right. This is great. We got the Naked Cowboy coming on.
So
here.
Entire coronavirus and never left once.
You never left once the whole time. Sit in my seat.
Only went to Daytona. That's when I was just arrested.
Yeah, just sit right down there. All right. This is a true New York treat. We got the Naked Cowboy over here.
Hello.
Would you mind putting this on? Or
Is it possible without it? I mean, I don't care.
No, you don't need to. You don't need to.
Great to see you, man. So you worked throughout the entire pandemic down here?
Yes. In fact, the first day when they were, they said only essential workers, I was nervous the whole way in, of course.
Right.
Am I going to be able to talk navigating it out? Of course, I was the only one in the garage. They were happy to see me. It was media out here all day, so it just worked out to be fabulous. I'm trying to, New York City Brazilians wore the mask, probably safer here than anywhere else because there's nobody here.
So you stayed here the whole time?
Every single day. More publicity than I've ever got in my entire
Well, let me
life.
tell you something.
Wait, even more than when you ran for mayor?
Listen, I'm going to be honest.
Wow, that's a tough one. Naked Cowboy for mayor of NYC. Because no one's ever done more with less than me.
Nice.
Well, I'll tell you something. You know, we do a show called No Vacancy. It goes 750,000 impressions a month. It's one of the biggest hospitality and travel podcasts in the country. And I talk about you, and I talk about you to a lot of students. And what I say is, people say, well, my father wants me to be a doctor, wants me to be a lawyer. I said, you know what? You know who is my inspiration? The Naked Cowboy. I said, why? I said, because the guy stands there when it's hot, when it's cold, and he has a brand. And he built a brand in his underwear in Times Square, and he's been true to who he is. So I literally use you in college as an inspiration to do what you meant to do.
My whole goal was to be super successful with something that had no chance of success whatsoever, to exemplify the principles of success. So whether you want to be a doctor, lawyer, everything, you want to be Tom Brady, you spend your whole life being a football player. I want to be Naked Cowboy, spend my whole entire life orchestrating to be the Naked Cowboy. And the same with a lawyer, everything else, but of course.
But you're committed to it. When people understand, you're just not a guy out here doing something that's kind of not thought about. From the shape you stay in to being here through the pandemic, you've always actually been here.
It's a 24-hour
so
day.
when
I
saw
pray
you
without
here,
ceasing. I never stopped
how
writing my
excited
journal.
did I
I
get
never
when I
stopped
saw
doing
him out
everything
here?
necessary to be here every day of my life.
I was so excited when I saw you out here, because then I said, Times Square. But I used to run this hotel when I was in 1990, and you've been here for how long? What year
Around
did you get there?
98, 2000, I was more.
And I
about
remember
22
immediately
years.
as soon as you came in, and then you've never left. All through the pandemic, you've seen him all through the pandemic.
Yes.
Do you know Tom?
I've known him since the day I got here.
Right.
I have. Worked for Times Square Alliance. He's the next best president, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
No man more qualified.
I hope
you,
so.
Robert.
Well, I hope so. And I'm
We've
just so
been friends forever. I text him probably 3 times a week, even if you don't want him. I sent him a little Biden clip, but it said "Merry Christmas." Just funny, being political.
well.
Funny,
I'm just so like I said, it's proud to know you and that you're committed to something, and you're really inspiration to young people. Just do what the hell you want to do in life, and everything else will fall in line. But you have to work hard at it.
you got to keep believing no matter what's going on. I just literally had this thing on my chest, skin cancer. They chopped it out. They sewed it up. I'm out here all day in the sun. Now I'm using sunscreen, but I'm gonna adapt and keep moving forward. Of course the thoughts come in like, oh, maybe I should get a suit on, do something else. All these fears. It comes up with all kinds of stuff. Every winter it comes up. I can't do it another year.
Your greatest memory in this job, number one,
Meeting Tom Harris from Times Square Alliance. Number 1.
What's your second best memory then?
I love coming here every single day of my life. I'm obsessed. I can't wait to get here. I never want to leave. Then I never want to come back. And then the next day I can't wait to get here again.
So let me ask you, what's it like being? I think at this point you're really goodwill ambassador for New York City, right? You're sharing the love with people from all over the world. That's great. What are some of the craziest countries that people have been representing when they've come here? Because I'm sure you get a lot of Canada, a lot of UK, but any unusual places that you've met people from?
You mean that they're unusual?
Yeah,
from where
right.
I come
Well,
from?
we're from New York. So.
Not really. I'm not in a position to call anybody unusual.
Yeah, but what's a country that somebody said I'm from this country and you're like, I didn't know that was a country?
Say one more time.
Did you ever speak to somebody and say I'm from this country and you're like, I didn't even know that was a country?
Not really. I went to college. Bachelor's degree. Halfway through my master's, my dad's a genealogist, smartest guy in the world, knows everything about everything. We played every kind of game about states, capitals, countries, 31 states of Mexico.
All right,
That's
so
all we do. I know more than I want to know.
Before we get back to Tom, because we got to interview Tom.
Let me get out
I
of here.
want to ask you a question. Tell me the second you came up with the idea of being the guy in Times Square in your underwear.
I, again, was a big Tony Robbins guy. I'd already written my goals. I was going to be the most celebrated entertainer of all time, the richest, most famous man to ever live, exponential growth, my name, brand, and net worth at all times. I had all this stuff written out. I was, at that point, I was trying to be a country singer with clothes on, a bodybuilder, or a model.
Right.
And I was also taking acting lessons, all these kind of things. I wanted to be famous, Tony Robbins. I was going for the outcome. I was in Venice Beach, California, 1998, shooting for Playgirl magazine. That's why I was there, to shoot for a Naked magazine.
Right.
So I put all my clothes on. I'm playing on the beach as a cowboy, and I get ignored the entire day. The photographer said, why don't you play in your underwear, do something different? I worked naked all day long everywhere else. I put my clothes on for that. I took my clothes off for that. Everybody's like, whoa, Naked Cowboy all day long after being ignored the entire day. I've been trademarked since 2000, and I've never stopped since
But
that
how
day.
did you, the first day you worked in Times Square, did you get chased away from the cops?
I did that in Venice Beach, California. I came back to Cincinnati, did it in my hometown, got arrested on Fountain Square, $68 citation, got on a morning show, told her I was going to do this all over the world. I went all the way to Key West, Florida, all the way to California, and back to Cincinnati, like a 40-day trip, got arrested 15 times, and then I went around again. I did this for like 3 years, and somebody said, you know, if you go east, you could get arrested every 2 hours instead of every 12 hours. You don't have to do all that driving. So I just said, that's how I got here. And first day turned into second day, and I never stopped.
Well, it was a pleasure and honor to meet you.
Thank you
very much.
Take care, Rob.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you.
Thank you.
How cool is that?
Let me get a picture.
And how New Yorkie is that? So, you know, he may have been getting arrested all these times, but the good news is that he doesn't have to spend a lot on the clothing budget, so he's got some extra money left over there. So that's for those of you who didn't hear, he said strip searches go just like that.
Love Times Square, baby.
Man, oh
Sorry,
man,
No, that's fine.
I didn't think I would have missed so much because I've only been in New York City once. We did a live broadcast here a few weeks ago from a studio. For the last year, it's the only time I've been here. This feels so great. This has given me exactly the energy I needed back in my life.
And one of the best things about Times Square is you never know what's going to happen. You come through here on a Monday, it's different on a Tuesday, it's different on the Thursday. There's so much surprise and delight in Times Square, and it's really a place to see and be seen. So
You know, and what I love about him was he never misses an opportunity to get in front of a camera. I mean, he saw us, and it was like, you know, a cat chasing a mouse. He's like, oh, I know where I need to go.
the most dangerous place in Times Square is between Robert and a camera.
It's true.
Wait, I didn't know he had a real name.
Yeah, it's so funny when Robert was talking to you and he says the best day he met you was the best day. I was reading your mind. I was like, it wasn't my best day. You don't have to talk. We're both from Brooklyn. I can read minds.
There's a lot that's said that's unsaid. That's great. Everybody's loving the interview. Michael says it's fun that you're playing tourist, Anthony. All of that kind of good stuff.
Well, listen, I really mean what I say. I use him. You've heard me probably talk about him. That, like, again, whether you like him, don't like him, like, he went out there and he built a brand.
Yep.
And he's been here every single day through the pandemic, cold, hot, and does it. And whether he has a big ego or not, you have to have a big ego to stand in Times Square with your underwear all day. So anyway, enough about him. Let's talk about
we
Tom.
were talking about how Times Square continues to morph and change over time. What is the changes that you think it's going through most recently, and where is it headed? I love that you've got the ball that hangs there now permanently year after year, which is kind of cool.
That's our event. We co-produced that event with the owners of One Times Square, Jamestown Countdown Entertainment. So that's one of the highlights of my year is New Year's Eve in Times Square.
That's awesome.
So how has it changed? It's every building here is different than it was in 2008 when I got here. I mean, you could just walk around where Nathan's was when we were in high school coming through Times
That's where Beefsteak Charlie's was. I think that was on that
And
corner
Schatz.
over there.
Wasn't there a Schatz here? There was a Schatz?
I'm sure that there
Schatzkins?
I don't
There's a
know.
Schatzkins.
I
There
don't
was
remember
an
that.
Automat. There was
Tad's
Steakhouse. All of the iconic New York
Tad's.
brands were in Times Square, and they're all changed now. They still have their legacy, but each block has a different building, and it's been different. Look at the Edition Hotel.
Is that the Edition?
I'm going to put a
That's the
camera
Edition
up
Hotel.
on there.
That's the first time I've actually seen that, believe it or not. When did that open? A couple years ago, right?
A couple of years ago. Yeah.
It's been a while. I've been doing a little traveling. I haven't even seen that. But what someone paid for in rent in 1990, what they paid for in a year, people pay for probably in a month now, right?
I'm sure.
It's 30 years ago. And so much has changed.
Yeah. But what's interesting is this hotel was the Embassy Suites. Can you show that?
Yeah,
hotel?
I will show that.
So that hotel was the Embassy Suites, which was my first hotel I've ever worked in.
That's
New
the
York
one under
City.
the construction
Right.
drapings.
So I had no idea that this hotel is now closed and they're taking it down to rebuild it. And this is where I started my career. So like every time I would be in Times Square, I'd come in here just to kind of touch base with the hotel because it's so meaningful to me. And then I literally sat here 2 minutes before we're about to go in there, and Tom tells me they're taking it down.
Yes, they took it down. They brought it down to, I think, the 19th floor.
You can put it back.
No, I just, it's fun because I got you on 3 different cameras now.
I don't know. Enough cameras. Go ahead.
They're going to raise the Palace Theater. The Palace Theater is a landmark theater that was on the ground floor. They're going to raise it. I think it's 29 feet.
When you say they're going to raise it, they're literally going to jack it up.
They're literally going to jack it up an inch at a time to its final place, and then there will be retail at the ground level. And then they're going to build a hotel on top. 30.
So I, you know what? I love accounting and I love finance, and I'm pretty good at math when it comes to business math.
Yeah.
I just did the numbers in my head. How is that going to work? How are they going to spend $2 billion probably and make their money back when the average rate is the average rate and retail is retail? I mean, is retail going to bring in that much money that they're going to be able to bring their $2 billion back?
Well, when you think about the Times Square retail, it's a 22-hour day. You go elsewhere and they're open from 10 until 6. There are people here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There are stores that do not close, and they see the value of being in Times Square. So that's why they get those rents.
Okay, Times Square is so cool and so iconic that they're basically jacking up the famous Palace Theater to put a store. And tear down. Look, let's put this in perspective. They're tearing down a hotel so they can jack up 29 inches of a theater so they can put in retail and then rebuild the hotel. That's how iconic Times Square is.
That's pretty insane to do something like that. I wonder what kind of
my brain.
Maybe they'll put in. Maybe there'll be like an homage back to the 70s, and it'll be one of those permanently going out of business stores with really bad electronics.
Or maybe they're just gonna have a printing press of cash. I don't know.
And smarter people than me see the value in doing that. So I'm sure
no one is doing that without knowing this is a big investment and a good investment. So I'm not making fun of it. I'm just like, I am not smart enough to have figured that one out.
Right. That's pretty. It's pretty amazing, and I think it really shows the confidence of where we're headed back to. Sure, this last year has been tough, but if anyone says, and we've been through this before, that New York isn't coming back, they're wrong. And the possibilities for the future is great. I mean, we're just at the beginning of this renaissance of people coming outdoors again. I can't even imagine what it's going to be like 2-3 months from now. It's going to be super packed.
Anyone who bets against Times Square better be prepared to lose their money.
Right.
So we see a lot of optimism. More people are coming back. We have 4 hotels under construction. I got a call last week from someone who's planning another hotel in Times Square. We have 47 hotels now. So there is a lot of value for being in Times Square, and really it all begins and ends here.
And let's talk about 47 hotels. Let's talk about the iconic hotel that came in what, 1986, right there.
I think it was 19. Was it 86? I thought it was like the late 70s.
No,
but I could be wrong.
No,
I think it was like that up on the
camera. It was definitely in the mid 80s, and because it was new when I got here, and I was 1990. And that hotel did more for New York City than probably any single hotel. Because it was, if you remember, what you remember and Glenn remembers, but when my kids grow up, they go to Times Square. Hey, I'm going to Times Square with my friends. Hey, I'm hanging out in Times Square. Like, okay, go ahead, have fun. When we were kids, go to Times Square, you needed, a helmet and a gun. Yep. And the only reason you went there is to go to the dirty movies or the dirty stage shows.
And maybe get a fake ID. But I'm not saying.
I was a Catholic school kid from Brooklyn, so I played skeet ball. There were other things to do other than what you guys did in Times Square.
All right.
Yeah, I am sure he played skeet ball.
I think quite possibly Marriott opening that might be the greatest hotel deal of all time.
Well, what is the deal? I don't know the deal.
I don't know. I don't remember. But whatever it was, they've definitely gotten their money back.
Well, also what's interesting about that hotel is there's no hotel in New York City that's busier on any night than the Marriott Marquis. I don't know what they've done there, but it's literally, you don't even put it in your competitive set. When I ran this hotel, or I was director of front office, and other hotels near Algonquin, we never even looked at that hotel because, all right, we'll be 80%, they'll be 99%, we'll be at $250 rate, they'll be at $350 rate. We don't know how they do it. Let's not pay attention.
And that's a case study in the success of Times Square. When it was built, all the retail was inward facing. You had to go into the hotel to see the retail. And with the pedestrian plaza, with the transformation of Times Square, they saw the value of having the ground floor retail. So couple of years ago, 5, 6, 7 years ago, they put all of that retail out on the plazas.
Yeah, I remember that somebody's trying to call me. I remember when Marriott did that. It used to be the whole thing was open and you just go inside, from there. But then they're like, oh, we're losing all this money by having nothing.
Right.
let's build
what they're
more
going to do to get more retail? I heard they're going to jack up the Marriott Marquis 29 inches to get more retail.
It's very, very possible they will do that. I'm still amazed that some of the buildings are still low slung over here, but I guess they have to have the setbacks in order to put up those particular buildings. But man, so much has changed over here. You got the W Hotel over here. I remember when that opened. That was really a big seminal event.
And you know what was one of the greatest moments of
Yeah.
Times Square in my life? Was when I was doing the scissor wheel for my show. And it was just me, Leo Rossi, and a guy named Jim Quadrochi, who's friends with us. And we said, hey, we have an idea for a show. Let's go to Times Square.
Right.
And let's start walking around and interviewing the people I used to work with. And let just kind of me in New York. And I did this. Remember the Mary Tyler Moore when she spins around?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I did the spin around, and I was like, "This is my
Throw
moment."
your hat up in the air.
Yeah, I was like, "This is my moment." And
was it awkward for you when you didn't have that freeze frame and then you had to go find the hat?
you know what was interesting? I'll tell you what was interesting. That was the moment I knew it was going to happen. Like when I was in Times Square and I had cameras on me, and we were trying to build a show about the hotel business.
Right.
When I started right there, I knew I was going to get the show. So
That's
Times
pretty
Square
cool.
was very lucky for me.
That's really cool.
Everyone has a Times Square story.
Absolutely.
Anyone who's been here has something that they say, I remember
Of course.
when. And
Right.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah, for me, one of the best Times Square stories I had is 1991. I did New Year's Eve over here, or maybe it was 1990, and it was just such a great experience to finally, after seeing it on TV for all of the years, it's coming to be a part of something so special, so iconic, so incredibly New York. That was back when you could just go in and out pretty easily.
Yeah.
You could pop in somewhere, go to a bathroom. You didn't have to worry about security checks, all that kind of stuff.
If you really want to see what Times Square is about, you come on New Year's Eve. I was here a couple times because when I was running the hotel as a night manager, we would have, obviously, we were in the middle of Times Square, so we had New Year's Eve. And you go from the ball dropping, a quadrillion people in Times Square. What's the actual number?
729 billion.
People.
A million people, which means a quadrillion.
Yeah.
And right after a million people leave,
Right.
by 12:30, it's clean and empty.
Right.
Well, it's not clean, but by
It's the
7
vacuum
a.m.
cleaner
it's
machines.
empty.
Yeah.
By 7 a.m. it is clean.
So-
the traffic
So
is
bring us
open.
through the process. What is your day at midnight when the ball drops? What do? What happens?
Go to the Hard Rock and have a drink.
And who's in charge of cleaning the Times Square? Times Square.
So we have great partnerships with the city. New York City Sanitation are the greatest clean team in the city, and they come here at 12:01 and they make this place immaculate.
Yeah. It's cleaner. It's clean by like 2 or 3 o'clock because I've been here 2, 3 o'clock on New Year's Eve, and it's basically empty. And I just want to say about New York sanitation, when
Yeah.
we went through Sandy and all of our homes were basically in the garbage, I've never felt such a kinship with the sanitation workers of the city because our homes were on the street.
Right.
So seeing our homes on the street was very traumatic. The quicker they picked it up, the quicker we felt we were getting back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
And they worked around the clock. It was literally one of the greatest things I've ever seen for a city do. So anyway, but yes,
So-
I agree with you.
We work very closely with the New York City Police Department, with the Department of Sanitation. I spent 23 years in the New York City Police Department before coming here. I love New York City Sanitation. They are the most down-to-earth folks who really care about what they do.
So you work with them and you guys get it clean. Is your team out here cleaning too?
Our team is out here too, but I would be overstating our value compared to what they do. So I give them all the credit.
So during COVID, one of the things I've noticed in Times Square, I don't see any stores closed. I see there's no boards up, there's no for sale, no for rent. So most of the retail stayed.
So a lot of the retail stayed. We track things. We track data every week. Who's open, who's
Hold on one
closed.
second. And
Yeah,
just so you know, we don't hear the music of Times Square.
No,
All right, those ambulances and fire trucks, we don't even pay attention to.
I don't even. It doesn't even register for me.
Do you remember the movie In the Garden of Good and Evil? It was, I think it was about 25, 30 years ago. I think John Cusack was in that, and he had to go to like New Orleans to investigate something, and he was a New York guy. So he'd go to sleep, and he'd lie down, and he'd hit the tape recorder on, and would have all the sirens and stuff like that, so he could go to sleep more peacefully.
Yeah. So you were saying, about the rents.
All right, so the ambulance is just passing by, so we should be fine right about now.
Okay.
You were saying about the retail in New York City, and did a lot of people go out of business, or?
So we still don't know who is closed permanently. We're going to track that. But of the retail, 77% of it is open.
Wow.
So we really saw a lot of folks, Grand Slam, more Brooklyn guys, the Grand Slam, the Cohen family, they've been open. And I remember them calling me up saying, we just have to get stores to open. Even if they don't make a sale, we need to get stores open so that people realize that that there is hope.
That's a big statement right there. If you look at the sports small business Grand Slam, like I appreciate them because they're not making any money and they're open, and that makes a big impact. When I saw it, I was like, wow, okay, it's open. You know, it makes a big difference.
Right. And it's those mom and pop stores throughout the city that we really need to support, especially those in Times Square.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really, and then we can argue about this, but I don't know if you would call a place like that a mom and pop store because they're paying rents that are ridiculous, but they're really owned by a small family.
Right.
So they are mom and pop.
Yes, they are. So yeah, and I think they've been in 4 or 5 locations throughout Times Square, and it is a family owned and operated store. I think it's 3rd generation. The grandson is working there.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Wow.
And listen, how long ago wouldn't we be able to be sitting here? This was a street.
I know.
How
Yeah.
long ago was that?
All right. So,
2009, I think it was
Not that
Memorial Day. Yeah.
let's just give former Mayor Bloomberg props for pushing that through. I remember he got pilloried that it was such a bad idea. Traffic. It has improved the quality of life in this area.
New York
so
City taxi
much more.
drivers cursed more than normal during that period. I got to go all the way up to Effin Avenue, and I got to make a left to Effin Avenue, and they did not like Bloomberg.
And the late night shows called it Bloomberg Beach. I remember my old boss told me, Tom, we need to get some beach chairs to put out there. And I said, okay, how many? And he said 500. I said, it's April. Where am I going to get 500 beach chairs? So I actually called up a friend of mine from Brooklyn, Matt Pinchik from Pinchik Hardware, and we had an Ace truck deliver 500 beach chairs to Times Square.
Cool.
And
I vaguely remember that,
and
actually.
people made fun of us.
Yep.
But it showed what was possible, and that's what is great about.
And how
Times
quick
Square.
before they were all stolen?
They really weren't stolen. They weren't that good.
They're just borrowed permanently.
So that showed people what's possible. It was piloted here in Times Square, and then there are, I think, 72 plazas throughout the city. This is, I think, the best, of course.
Yep.
But it led to just closing the street down with construction cones to a reconstruction project, and
Well, listen,
yeah.
I think it did great things, and I think ABC putting their studio here, 42nd down there, I think that was really helpful,
44th
right?
Street, yep. ABC comes out and does live hits from Times Square every day.
So tell me about, this is a little controversial. Tell me about the little people in their costumes that come out here, and then all of a sudden they have
and why doesn't Disney give them a hard time?
yeah. And how did you guys fix that problem? And tell the audience what we're talking about.
So we have costume characters, the Desnudas. There are people who come out here and look to take pictures with you for money. With Disney, it all started with the mouse. In Times Square, it all started with the cowboy. So with the closing of the plazas, we saw a lot of these costume characters coming out and taking pictures with.
Get a little closer to the mic. Get a little closer to the mic. Go ahead.
Costume characters taking pictures with the public. And Times Square is a place for all to come. And it's a place for all to enjoy. But all businesses have regulations. So we don't care if you're in an Elmo suit or your birthday suit. We think that there should be time, place, and manner restrictions for how you conduct
Your business.
Your
Cool.
business, so that your business doesn't interfere with my passive enjoyment or just the ability to walk.
And
through
plus,
Times
to
Square.
the businesses that are paying all that rent and all those restrictions, you have to, like, you're running a business, you're making money, you should have some restrictions to that.
So we had one of our interns walk through Times Square and just see how many times she was accosted by someone looking to take money from her. And it was different from the 70s when they would just take your money. They were asking you to take a picture in exchange for money. 47 times from 42nd Street to 47th Street. So if you come from around the country, from another country, and you're harassed, you're accosted, what's your experience going to be like? Are you going to want to come back? So we think that people who want to take pictures should be able to take pictures. And we work with the City of New York, with the Law Department, with the Department of Transportation to create designated activity zones to take pictures. So anyone who wants to take a picture there can take a
That's
picture.
cool.
And they're
with
not
them.
allowed to walk, cartoon characters aren't allowed to walk out of that zone.
They can walk out of the zone, but they just can't take a picture and take money once they walk out of the zone.
And how's
They
that
can-
work so far?
It's okay. I mean, I think the rules need to be expanded and strengthened. We're working on that. But it has changed a lot and made the experience better for everyone.
Well, I
And
haven't been harassed at all. And with the Naked Cowboy, he just stands there and people go to him. He doesn't harass
That's right.
anybody.
yes, no, he is the model for how the costume characters should act when they're interacting with folks.
And why hasn't there been? I know there was a Naked Cowgirl, and she lasted like a second. But why haven't there been other Naked Cowboys or Naked Cowgirls?
Well, I believe, and we could have asked him. I believe he has.
He
has
does
a
have
trademark. Yeah, he does have a franchise, so you'll see folks out here with him, and they have they're authorized by him. I believe the Naked Cowgirls are his wife or girlfriend or sister.
Mhm.
So she comes out occasionally.
So if somebody comes out here and says, "I'm the naked horse," he has a problem with that.
He will take you to court.
Good.
He should.
He's got.
Yeah.
He's really worked hard to get that trademark.
He's
and
been
that's
here every day during the pandemic.
Unbelievable.
Right. He protects his brand, and quite honestly, we wish some of the trademark holders of the costume characters would also protect.
So why
their
doesn't
brand.
Disney World and
It's so
Nickelodeon
weird.
go after them? Because
Yeah.
they go after everybody.
I can't speak for
Yeah, of course you can.
why Disney does or doesn't do it. No, I really can't.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna.
Right. So Colleen says, how does a naked cowboy earn an income? Curious. Takes photographs with
Well,
people,
I will
sings
tell you
songs
this,
for people.
and one of the reasons I have respect for this man is because I've seen him do his business. And I don't mean to do his business, but do business. And I've never seen him ask for a penny.
Right.
I've never seen him go say, "Hey, give me some money."
Right.
Girls want to take pictures with him, and guys, and there's a little hole in his guitar,
Right.
and they slip the money in his guitar. I've never seen him be aggressive, ever,
Right.
with anyone, and he makes probably a lot of money,
I'm sure.
right? And he deserves it.
And pays his taxes. Don't you worry about
I'm
that.
sure he does.
He wouldn't have run for mayor a couple of years back
I'm
if
sure
he
he
wasn't,
pays tax.
he wasn't on the up and up.
Listen, he's a legit guy, and like I said, whether you like him or don't like him, I have a lot of respect for someone when their father is a brain surgeon. Basically, he's a very educated man, and he said, "No, I want to be a model, I want to be a singer, and I want people to know me."
Right.
He did all three. He did it his way, and he built his brand. So that's a real, to me, an example of all kids today, and especially during the pandemic. Right? You have such an opportunity now to just forget about what everybody else wants you to do. Go do what you meant to do. Because if the pandemic showed us anything, it showed us, man, life is not in your control.
Right. You have to be able to pivot. You have to be able to adapt, and a lot of folks are gonna have awakenings where they change what they do, and a lot of businesses are gonna have to adapt to.
So, Tom, you've been in the Times Square Alliance for many years. What has been the greatest joy of it? Like, you come to work every day, and I imagine you run the work. Why?
I love coming to work. I love Times Square. Every day is exciting. I never know what I'm going to do. I never know what's going to get thrown at me, and I am challenged. I am engaged. I have a lot of professional development. This is my first podcast. Hopefully, it won't be my last.
So why don't we do the
see.
Times Square Alliance podcast?
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Yeah,
We
That'd be
could
cool.
certainly talk about that. I'll connect you with TJ
Yeah.
Witham, our communications director, and
yeah. Let's get it out to the world. You know,
We should
I think-
we should be doing this even if we do it like once a month, where we come and we do it from Times Square. What's new in Times Square? Listen, this is what I talk about in the hotel business when it comes to revenue management of a hotel. It all starts in Times Square and then it goes out.
Right.
So the time you get to Arizona, the rates aren't as good because Times Square starts everything. At Times Square, if you can really make a business in Times Square, everybody, if you're in Spain or Russia or China, everybody wants to come to Times Square. Everybody wants to see that ball drop. Everybody wants to walk through Times Square. Everybody wants to go to Grand Slam and buy a New York t-shirt. It's one of those moments when you go to Rome. There's things you do in Rome. When you come to New York, Times Square is the place. And when you come to New York is kind of the epicenter of the world. So Times Square is the epicenter.
And to your point, I get to do that every single day. I mean, I jump out of bed in the morning and I come to Times Square. I can't wait to get to work. I love the folks that I work with. I love the neighborhood. This is a community.
It's a
People don't
neighborhood.
understand. It is a neighborhood.
So give us the history of Times Square. How did Times Square become Times Square? Like what was like how like because it's really a crossroads. How did it all happen?
So this was Longacre Square back when there weren't paved roads. The New York Times was the newspaper that occupied one Times
I
Square.
think it was at, what is it like at 44th,
42nd to 43rd.
Yeah.
They wanted the area named after them. Herald Square was named after the
Oh,
New York Herald,
that
which
makes sense.
was the paper there. So they wanted.
Don't tap the table.
I won't tap the table. They wanted the neighborhood named after them, and they've been in Times Square since the early 1900s. Their third location is on 8th Avenue and 41st Street. So they have been a fixture in Times Square from the beginning.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty unbelievable. And everybody knows Times Square. What's it like working in a place that literally every person you've ever met is familiar with this location?
Well, it's great. I have a lot of friends in December. So
You're gonna have a friend in December with me because I'm coming to the ball this year.
So it's great. I mean, just knowing that, and when we travel, the bids have a trade association,
Yep.
the International Downtown Association.
Right. And by bid, you mean Business Improvement District.
Business improvement districts. And when we go there, everyone wants to talk to you
Right.
when you're from Times Square.
Of course.
And it's great because you just see the value and you really get a lot of fulfillment in what you do and how you just impact people's lives. People come here, they want to have a great experience, and we want to give them a great experience. We have a great public art program. So we do a midnight moment every night at 11:57. A lot of the screens will broadcast the public art
Cool.
works. Yeah, every month we do it. We've been doing it over 10 years now. When it gets a little bit warmer, we're going to have Broadway buskers out here and
Awesome.
regular buskers, some jazz in Times Square. So we really try to activate the space, make it a place that people want to come to and that they want to come back to and they want to have their friends.
Well, you said a very important statement. You said activate the space. And whether it be Giuliani, whether it be Bloomberg, they really help turn the city around, whether you like them or you don't like them. I remember what this was like. And a lot of people say, well, I like the good old days. I was like, well, I don't like the good old days
Yeah.
because the good old days, you can't go to 11th Avenue without getting arrested
Right.
or shot or something. And so I like what's happened. And although, yes, government has been pivotal in that, without the Times Square Alliance being that relationship and really kind of working with the city of New York, working with the government, working with the police, this would not be what it is today. Because when you're coming into Times Square, you feel safe. You know
Yep.
that you come here to do good. You don't come here to do bad. I remember the first time I'm going to admit this, but I have a pinky ring that I got when I was a kid. That was a diamond pinky ring, and the 3-column Monte dealer now owns that.
You've never been more Italian than it right at this very moment.
I'm sure you had the leisure suit and the chains too.
No, I didn't have the leisure shoot, but I definitely had the chains. So this was not the place that 18-year-old kids should come for enjoyment. And now, because of the Times Square Alliance, you've really worked every day to make this a place that a person from Iowa could come that's never been in Times Square and not be overwhelmed and be like, this is really cool. And when you're looking up and you're seeing all the great sights of Times Square, you feel safe.
So thank you, and you probably give us too much credit, because it really is all of the businesses in the area coming together, working together for a common mission. A neighborhood that works together works, and Times Square works together. We are sort of the connectors.
But you know what? I'm going to cut you off, because in any business, there's somebody that's got to be up in the morning opening up the fence,
Right.
and somebody at night closing the fence. And that's what you guys do. So someone's got to be responsible for that.
Times Square never closes.
Right.
We don't have to
But
put the
my
gates
point
down.
is,
We work 24 hours
well,
a
my
day.
point
7
is,
days.
what I'm
Right.
trying to say is, in the
Right.
morning you make sure it's safe. At night you make sure it's safe, and you're the steward. You're in charge of making sure that everything can buzz the way it buzzes.
I am never more proud of my staff than on a Sunday morning.
I love Sunday mornings in Times Square.
5 o'clock in the morning, after a busy Saturday night, if you came to Times Square, it would look like someone emptied all of these garbage cans onto the street. By 7 o'clock in the morning, my team has cleaned it up, and it's reset. For
Right,
the
and
day.
that person coming out of a hotel at 7:30 in the morning to get their Starbucks sees it spotless,
Right.
and it blows their brains out. So I'm going to ask you a question that you cannot say, well, everything is great, and you have to answer the question, okay? The weirdest thing you've ever seen in Times Square,
Other than Anthony.
I'm not letting you off the hook.
The weirdest thing I've ever seen in
You might have to go back to the 70s for that.
Besides the woman that was taking a tan and doing hip thrusters 5 minutes ago.
So I'm going to answer it a little bit differently. So, okay. Let's try not to hit the table. So I came through Times Square as a kid. We had a route. We would start in Brooklyn. We'd go to Little Italy. We'd go up to Central Park. Then we come down Park, and we would go. I would play skeet
Get a
ball.
little closer to the microphone.
I would play skeet ball. So I guess there was a time when I didn't come to Times Square as much. And after September 11th, they had a Bon Jovi concert in Times Square.
Right.
And it was the opening of the NFL.
Yeah, I
Bon
remember
Jovi
that.
performed. Okay, so I left Brooklyn. I think I was in a precinct in Brooklyn. I came to Times Square, and it had changed. It was not the Times Square that I knew. And I'm a city kid. I've been in the city my whole life. The weirdest thing was parking my car on 42nd Street and just looking up. And I was looking up, and I was just turning around, and I thought to myself, when did this happen? And that was the weirdest time in Times Square.
That's a great moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was, and who would have thought that 5 years later I would be here, and I would be able to enjoy that moment every day.
Yeah, the weirdest moment for me in Times Square,
Yeah.
I'm glad you asked, was sitting down 5 minutes before we did the podcast, and you telling me they're jacking up the Palace Theater 29 inches and taking down the
29
hotel
feet.
29 feet and taking the hotel down to do it. That blows my brains out.
Yeah, that's really unbelievable, man. I don't know if I've had any weird experiences in Times Square other than watching
Psychedelic ones.
Yeah, well, I was a little too young for that, but by the time I was in college and ready for that, this place had already started making its transformation. I think. I thought one of the coolest things was watching the classic theater where Abbott and Costello played, and they moved it like 200
right.
yards down the block on 42nd
Right
Street.
on 42nd Street.
Yeah,
right.
that was really cool.
That was to make room for
the Hilton. Was it the
the
Hilton Hotel?
The Hilton, yeah. And also, what happened not too far from here is the first cell phone call was made on right across from the Hilton Hotel on 6th Avenue and 50-something Street.
Oh, that's pretty
The
cool.
first cell phone call ever was made there.
Wow.
How cool is that?
That is pretty cool. I remember my first cell phone call home from here going, help! How do I get out of here?
And talk about tickets, right? TKTS. Talk
TKTS,
about
sure.
the history of it and what that's become its
Right
own
under these steps,
its
right
own
here.
destination, its own. Like everybody knows, you go, you stand in line, you get inexpensive tickets. It's a rite of passage to come to New York and stand in that line and get those tickets. Talk about that.
Little tip: in 1982, you could go to the World Trade Center and not have to wait on that line.
So in the 70s, when Broadway wasn't doing as well, TDF was formed, and they put a trailer here, and they started to sell
Yep.
half-price tickets, and people would line up, and there were huge lines.
Yep.
Huge lines. They would extend into the street, into 7th Avenue, into Broadway, and people would wait in line. They had to pay cash. They had a list of the shows that were
Yep.
were available, and it was, like you said, a rite of passage. You could go see a Broadway show that day for half the price.
Right.
And
Tom,
what I-
we just like show up
and
at
what-
like 10 a.m. and
Listen, nowadays I'm talking to people that have more money than I'll ever have in my life, and they're like, "Yeah, I was in line at TKTS waiting for." I said, "No, dude." I said, "Really? You couldn't go to the concierge and pay that fee? You're standing in and they say to me, "It's like, but that's what you do."
yeah.
That's what you do, right? And they've gotten better. There are more people there. They take credit cards. The line.
Oh,
is
it's a
quick,
system
so
now. It's a system.
They do a great job.
And tell me the thought in how these iconic red steps, as soon as they got put in, it just became like just the destination.
That's when
in
you
Times
moved it
Square.
from a trailer to an actual ticket booth too. What year was that? Do you recall?
2009.
So tell me
was
about
when it opened
tell me
up.
about the thought process, how that all happened.
So the thought process was we built a glass house in Times Square. So I think that probably and the day it opened, the person who had my job
Talking
said,
to the mic.
the day it opened, the person who was the vice president of operations said, "Tom, this just became a real job. I'm leaving. Tag, you're it." So we had to pretty much figure out how to maintain a glass structure in
And who
Times
put it
Square.
up? The city? Like who?
It was a partnership between the Times Square Alliance, between the City of New York, and the Father Duffy Coalition.
Okay.
So, and Sherwood Equities also had a hand in it. They helped with a lot of the technical expertise.
Okay. And then the day it opened, it just became the place.
The day it opened, it became the place. It's the best seat to the greatest free show in Times Square.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And everybody knows these steps, except apparently my kids. When I said I'm going to be broadcasting from them, they're like,
Let me tell you something. I've been working with this guy a couple of years now. We've done hundreds and hundreds of podcasts. I've never seen him more excited than we were going to Times Square and doing the podcast. Literally.
Yeah.
He was like a crazy person. He's like, "Okay, get with the go."
This is a fantastic place. It's dynamic. It's energetic. I want to say it's just magical because you just never know what is going to happen here.
No,
Every day's an adventure, and
And NYPD, thank God, they keep you safe, and there's such a presence here.
yeah, there's a whole group right over there, just kind of
Yep.
hanging out, making sure everybody's
Yeah,
cool.
but they're not intrusive. They're
No,
if
right.
you need them. But let me take this moment because since it popped in my head, I want to thank our producer David.
Yes.
David, you are a rock star for making this happen because I know David did all the work behind the scenes.
He
So
did.
thank you. I know you can't be here today, but thank you, and I hope your son's leg is feeling better.
Yep. Excellent. Tom, before we wrap up, anything else that we need to talk about that you're dying to get out there?
Any other hotels going to be jacked up 29 feet?
Yeah.
no, I think just this one. Just that Times Square is coming back. We're seeing pedestrian counts up. We're seeing stores opening up. There seems to be a plan for Broadway returning in the fall, and the best is yet to come for Times Square. Please come back. This is the time to come and just have your own Times Square experience.
Beautiful. Excellent. Can't say it any better.
And thank you for your services, NYPD, as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. I want to thank everybody for being here. What an experience this has been today. Wow, my mind is blown, dude.
I tell you, I remember being in Honduras in the Air Force and wanting to work in a hotel, and they said you can work at the DoubleTree in Times Square. And I was a kid that came to Times Square very infrequently, but
Right.
I came a little bit. And then that day when I worked in Times Square in a hotel, you would have thought I was president, not of the United States, of the world. It was the most important job in the most important place in the world to me. And it really gave me the confidence to build my career. So without this little corner of the world, because they say you can do it in New York, you can do it anywhere. If you do it in Times Square, you can do it anywhere.
Wow. Well, this has been an honor. Quite a treat. Thank you so much, Tom, for allowing
you.
us to do this. I mean, seriously.
And thank you to this man right
Yep,
there behind
right.
the scenes.
Hey, George. Who is going to give us a tour of the gorgeously renovated Marriott Marquis as soon as we break
There's
down
his
the gear
beautiful
over
face.
here.
There's his beautiful face.
Excellent. I can't wait to go do that as well. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching today and allowing us to geek out in the greatest city in the world.
And then tomorrow we're going to be at
Across the
a
world.
secret place too.
It's
Is
not-
it secret?
No, it's not too secret. We're going to be at the Pierre tomorrow. Do a great luxury hotel. You guys may have caught a show with us today. talking to them once before. We had to go check it out ourselves. I feel sorry for them, though, because it's not going to be as cool as this, although we won't tell them.
Nah, come on. Sophia.
It'll be amazing. All right, everybody, thank you so much. And I'll tell you what, remember, you've got one life, so blaze on. And Anthony,
Be kind to yourself.
see you all tomorrow right back here from the heart of New York City.